Hey, so I forgot to update the title of the stream. I wonder if I can do that while we're in the stream. Ah, yes, I can. Nice. Stay 8 today. And we're still discussing the next thing. This turns out to be a bigger question than I had thought. So the thing is, I have so many ideas, and I know that you probably have too. Like all of these things that we all want to ship that we think are really cool ideas, all these things that AI enables. And the question is, what should you actually prioritize? And so I've been spending a lot of time thinking about that today. It's basically the only thing I've accomplished today, which might sound like not such a big achievement. But I've come up with a principle that I think is the right principle for this. And so I actually wrote a blog post about this. You can go and have a read about. You can go and have a read in detail if you think this could be interesting. It's okay. It's not too long, but I'm going to explain the short idea here. Right. So the number one thing that everybody gets wrong when they're building a SaaS or any company for that matter is distribution. Distribution is super hard if you don't know where to distribute your stuff. You can't just make something and then go and try to distribute it when you don't know where to distribute it. Right. And then there are all these ideas of that you should scratch your own itch, you should build something that's valuable to yourself. Yes, that's all good, but it's not enough. And so what I mean by this is, yes, you might be able to solve a problem for yourself, but that does not make a good business because the problem still comes back to distribution. If you don't know who you're distributing it to, then it really doesn't matter, right? And so really what I'm trying to do here is come up with a system where the distribution is built into what I'm actually shipping. What do I mean by this? What I mean is that I have for a very long time worked as a consultant. So back in 2020, I launched my first SaaS. I got into a legal fight, spent the next 4 years, actually we're still doing it, so I guess the more accurate term would be the next 5 years, fighting a legal battle that has costed me over $500,000 and made that basically made that I had to change my company from being a SaaS company to being a consultancy company. The reason why I made this change is because I knew that I could make a lot of money as a consultant quite quickly, whereas with a SaaS, there's still so many unknowns that I need to figure out. And so for that, I need more time and I need to have time to actually sit down and think thoroughly about what I'm doing. I'm now past that and I have the time to sit down and thinking thoroughly about it. That's what we're doing here. And so now the idea is I know how to do this one thing. I know how to land clients for consultancy. I know how to get them to sign and pay me quite a lot of money. So the question is, how do I scale from here? There's only so much that they're willing to pay because you have the market rates, and unless you're an exceptional expert in one particular field, chances are that you will get capped somewhere between 200 and 350K a year, right? As a consultant, or probably even as a US employee. I don't know. I haven't looked too much into the US market, but the point being, there is a limit to how much you can earn. And so now what you really need to do, and what this blog post is about, is you need to sit down and you need to work out the 80-20 principle for what you're doing. So the client who's paying you for doing something is paying you for the 100% transformation that you're delivering, whether that's building out prototypes for them, building infrastructure, building something. That's what they're paying for. Now, I can't recall the name, but the exact name, but the 80-20 principle basically states that 20% of your time is what you spend on delivering 80% of the results, right? So think about this. If you're spending 20% of your time delivering 80% of your results, what would it be worth to the client if you delivered 80% of the results, but at half price? Well, technically, that would be much more value, right? Because if you now go back and you spend double the amount, you'll end up delivering 160% of the results. Why is this interesting? Well, because you only spent 20% of your time, which means that, well, you are cutting your time by a factor of 5, and the client is cutting their cost by a factor of 2, which means that both of you win. You can take on 5 clients for the same amount, and they get to pay only half. This is a little bit technical. I know. So maybe let's. I'll show you some numbers in just a second. But try to stick with me here. So if you're at the point where 80% is good enough, this could, for instance, be that, let's say we're delivering them an app, and basically the last 20% is extra features that they don't need for the MVP. It's the features that doesn't really count. Or it's all the little polish that, yes, it's nice to have, but you really don't need it to show the core principle of what you're doing. So the client wouldn't care in that case. In that case, 80% still have value. And if you get to a point where you can figure out, okay, now I can deliver these 80%, but for half the price, you have the possibility of now 5xing half the price, which means that if you start at 20K, you're now at the potential of 50K if you figure out how to get the clients. But here's the good news. Because you start from a place of, I already have one client that's willing to pay for this transformation, all you need to do is find 2 clients for starters, and then deliver them the 40%, deliver them what you spend 40% of your time delivering, and then build it up that way. I hope this makes sense. It's I'm actually really, really enthusiastic about this idea. Now, why does this matter? Basically, this is an improvement on your processes, right? It could be automation. It could be, it's basically automation, and it could be workflows, playbooks on how you're doing specific things. But it boils down to how much system can I put things into to make it reproducible in a very, very short amount of time, in a very easy time, or in a very easy way, right? And if you followed my work on Compound Coders, this is what I'm all about: figuring out the system for how can we make this reliable, such that we can do the same quality work that we used to do, but with AI, with automation, and basically get to a point where we get that quality, but at much less effort. Okay, I'm rambling here. Let's get to the numbers, because that numbers are what's really exciting here, right? So I told you now, half the amount of time, half the price, 1/5 of the time. That's your improvement. What happens if you apply this 2 times, 3 times? So that means that you improve the process once, you improve the process twice, you improve the process 3 times. And so basically, if you do that, I made a small calculator here, and let's say we start at 1,000. We're starting out with a monthly recurring revenue of $1,000, and let's see. Actually, I don't know what this one should be. Does it even change anything when I change it? Let's change something. Let's just put that one at 1,000 as well. And then we do 500 for the new service. And the effort required is 20%, and we're going to compound this over 3 cycles, right? So we start at $1,000, and we now halven the effort. We halven the price, but we make the effort 5 times less, right? So think about this: 5 times less effort, but half the price. That means that we can take on 5 times more, which means that our original 1,000 now has compounded into 2,500. That was the first cycle. We then refine the cycle, get it to a point where we can start to see, okay, what is the unnecessary part so we can cut away so we can apply this principle again. And we apply it one more time, and we apply it one more time, and you see you start out by 1,000, you end up on 2,500, then 6,250, and then 15,620. And the idea here is we're basically scaling out. We're starting with one client, we spread out into 5 clients, and from that we spread out into another 5, and so on and so forth. And this is the way that I believe that you should grow your SaaS. It basically means you start with a consultancy business, you move into an agency, and then gradually you just lean your way into a SaaS. And every time you're doing these steps, you're just taking one step to get further down that ladder. But the point is, you're staying on the path of distribution with high ticket offers. This is the key, right? I'm having a high ticket offer here, and I want to basically get to a point where I'm having 5 lower ticket than the highest ticket offer, but still high. And then we're gradually building that down until we get to the point where we have the really low ticket offer. That's the key idea here. And it's basically how we can scale how many people we serve at once with something we do. So I hope this made sense to you, because it makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm really, really enthusiastic about it. What this practically mean is that as I go forward, I'm still going to build SaaS, and I'm still going to build agent workflows and loops and whatnot. But as I go forward, this will be the guiding principle for what I am doing. Whatever I'm doing, will it help cut away 80% of the work and lower my price, or will it just lead to a distraction? This is how I'm going to focus. This is how I'm going to get to that $1 million month, or whatever it's going to be. So let me show you some fun numbers here. Right, and one of the reasons why I think this is fun to play around with as a guiding principle, if I put in here 20,000, which is our starting point, we put in here, we put 10,000 here, we're still having, and we're going to let's do 5 cycles. And you'll see in 5 cycles, if you manage to apply 5 cycles of this optimization, using this as a guiding principle every time, cutting away 80% of the work and halving the price of what you're doing every time, you get this to scale from 20,000 to 50,000 to 125,000 to 300,000 to 800,000 to 2 million in just 5 cycles. I'm not saying this is easy to do. If it was easy, everybody would have done it. But I think this goes to show why this is such an important principle to adhere by in terms of basically figuring out where should I put my focus, right? Because you have this one place where, I can get clients here. They're willing to pay, and they're willing to pay a lot. And now I'm going to make it cheaper for them and improve my service, which they will love. And at the same time, that makes it I can take on more clients. This is the principle. This is what we're going for. And we're going to scale this to 1 billion. That's the end goal here. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this, and leave some comments on what your thoughts are, because I might have missed something. Who knows? Until next time.